bring in the big man, Bill O'Reilly. Good to have you. What is your take on the state of play in the analysis of what happened in Iran?
Well, CNN used 4 anonymous sources to try to diminish the bombing raid, what
Agreed.
they do. But even worse was the news outlets have picked it up as fact. So anonymous sources are easy. You can get anybody to say anything. And when I read the article, I said, how do these anonymous sources know? There's nobody on the ground there. There's nobody who went under the mountain to see. The Iranians can't even do that because the mountain may collapse on them. There's absolutely no primary source reporting on the damage that the American planes caused. None. So you got 4 anonymous people saying, well, I might have heard this, I might have heard that. It's absurd. No competent journalistic editor would have printed that article. But since CNN is in business to make Trump look bad, as you said, every moment of every day, they throw it out there. But I think we all know that the journalism industry in America and the world is at the lowest ebb, the lowest point in the history of that industry is right now.
I think that it's trying too hard to compete with these pod bros and people who sell hysteria for profit. And we should just stick to what we do best, because in truth, podcasts have their place, don't get me wrong. I love having one, but they don't have any of the assets or capabilities of getting things right, or reporting or investigating the way real news agencies do. We just too often get caught up in the propaganda game. The only thing I disagree with you on is, and of course Trump asked for it by saying everything was obliterated, so he asks for the criticism because he doesn't know that either. But anonymous sources matter, Bill. If it weren't for anonymous sources in your career and mine, very often you wouldn't know anything about what's happening in the halls of power, because people aren't going to put their name to things because they get fired. So anonymous sources have their place. You just got to get it right.
I don't use them. And I've been pretty damn successful for 50 years in this business. I don't use them. Now, if I'm told something, I check it out another way. And you can always do that. If I had something vital, like there was going to be an explosion at this address tonight, and I had to get it out, I would tell people why I'm doing the anonymous source thing, if I had to do it. But I don't use them. I don't do a podcast. I do a broadcast. And you're absolutely right. The podcasters couldn't care less about what's true or what isn't. They just want people to watch them. They want attention. And that's what they do, and it's a huge industry. But I disagree with you about CNN. CNN knows better. They're so desperate to try to get some kind of surge of people to watch that they'll violate every
Well, they see what's happening on the left. And look, again, you and I disagree about CNN. Even though I got fired, I have a lot of respect for the men and women who are doing the job there, and I miss a lot of them. And I think it's a great place. But when they're wrong, they're wrong. When they do things they shouldn't, they shouldn't. I don't blame the whole place. You got to look at this specific platform. But they see what's happening on the left. You see that they're in MAGA mode, and they are all in on the mirror image of MAGA. That's what's going on there now. There are no more Democrats. There are no more Republicans. There's MAGA, and now you have whatever they call the new lefty MAGA. I don't know what it's going to be called.
Look, all I want is for every news agency to try to be fair and accurate in its reporting. Is that too much to ask, Cuomo?
No, it's just too much. It's just too much to ask if they want to be successful, because there is very little percentage in fairness. People want fealty. They want outcomes. They want comfort. They want reassurance.
I'm sorry. I'm making millions of dollars, Cuomo, being fair and accurate. That's what I'm selling. Okay, so you're wrong, and I got the receipts.
You see yourself as a fair broker.
People are hungry.
But they,
and I am.
But
and you're going to challenge that. You better have a backup.
No, but please, look, because if I say it otherwise, it can't be true. I think that you have a tendency
you got to back it up,
to defend the administration and conservatives and attack liberals and Democrats. I think that you do more of that
that's
than
your
you do
opinion,
of that.
but if you
Yeah,
if you watch, which you don't, every day, you would see that isn't true. I'm going after a Republican in charge of the Ethics Committee in the House now. I don't care about ideology. I don't care about party. It's the last thing on my mind. And as far as Trump is concerned, I'm fair to Trump. And I'm accurate about Trump. And I tell you what is going on. I have not been wrong on this program. I've told you exactly what's going on.
Well, you didn't. You thought that he was going to be patient and wait on Iran, and then it happened the next day. So, I mean,
well, it was a timing. It was a timing issue.
But it doesn't matter if you're right or wrong
was a mistake,
about that
but it wasn't a mistake about trying to make Trump look good. It was a timing issue. But anyway, look, what we are doing at NewsNation is trying to do accurate reporting without this insane injection of partisan ideology. I think you would agree with that.
But that's all. I mean, you'll get fired otherwise. I mean, NewsNation, it has a very specific code of conduct of what it wants to do, which I also think is emblematic of the difference between this and digital media, is that I have bosses who watch and listen, and if you don't do it the way they want it done, which is be fair to both sides when called for, you got a problem. Podcasts don't have that.
Look, you're fading out a little, so wake the audio guy up, jack his audio up.
Technical stuff is not our strong point here. We kind of just, we focus on the content, not the production.
The guy just woke up because I scolded him. If you're right about NewsNation, and you are, then why they hire me if I'm such a partisan right-wing guy?
Balance.
Come on. No balance. Then you'd have to have a kooky, the only left-wing zealot you have on a consistent basis is Carville. And it's okay with me, I don't care. But look, your producer wanted me to talk about Putin a little bit, because this is the next step in foreign policy, and I think it's important. So my book, Confronting Evil, comes out on September 9th. And I'm extraordinarily lucky because I have the Ayatollah and Putin on the cover, along with Mao and Hitler, and then we have 8 other villains inside the book. We researched Putin. We investigated Putin. Putin is a true psychopath. He is a psychopath. But he's different than the mullahs, and this is what people need to understand, because he's driving Trump crazy. Putin's driving Trump nuts. I don't know if President Trump understands what a psychopath this man is. And when you see how he was raised, when you see where he came from and how he assembled power, there is no doubt of what I'm saying is accurate. So Putin, unlike the mullahs, is not a coward. The mullahs are cowards, okay? They pay people to kill babies and women. That's what the mullahs are. They're despicable cowards. Putin isn't a coward, and you'll see that in the book. Putin is right in your face, and he is going to wreak as much destruction on the world as he can until somebody puts him in the grave. That's him. And Trump can't get through. Trump has offered him a really good deal, but Putin doesn't want the deal because Putin doesn't see that as helping his psychopathic yearnings. He wants to kill more people, all right? Now, how do you deal with a guy like that? You can't attack him because he has nukes. But you can strangle him economically, and I mean all the world banks, you don't do business with Moscow. Any bank that does, wiped off the face as far as sanctions are concerned. That's how you get him. And I had this conversation with Donald Trump. I said, you can sanction him all day long. He doesn't care about his people. If they're eating grass, he doesn't care, okay? But if you strangle, all right, the banks, and he can't get his oil money moved and he can't get anything in, he'll make the deal. And I stand by that.
No, I think that's a sound analysis if you can get the banks to go along with it. We'll see. I mean, if there's one thing that's held consistent is that people keep doing what they need to do for their own benefit, regardless of what it means geopolitically.
Trump is pretty damn powerful now. If you watch the NATO thing, he got all those NATO countries to kick 5% into defense when they were at 2%, except for Spain. And here's a little message for you, Spain. I'm not going there. I'm not going to Spain. I don't go to Mexico either, okay? And I'm eliminating all the Spanish-speaking countries and I speak a little Spanish, un poco.
Un poquito
But
español.
Spain is obnoxious. You're obnoxious, Spain, all right? Pony up. We protected your butt for decades. We, America, pony up. I know you don't care about Ukraine. I know you don't care about anything other than having dinner at 10 in the evening. I know that. But you better pony up.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.